Sergeant McCoy-Pulowski. I'm the DEERS Project Office. So today we're going to go over how our data flows, what we do, our responsibilities, what we are seeing. Did you know? The NDAA of 2018, the AFI, retirement, former members, honorary retirees, and some helpful hints for you all at the field. So in our perfect world, when a unit arrows clerk goes out and updates arrows, that data should automatically be flowing to MilPDS. Then our data liaisons at NGB A1Q review it for discrepancies and or to review the data to ensure that it is correct. And then again, as a perfect world, it goes out to DMDC, and you can view it out in DEERS, and the member can view it out in MilConnect to reflect the correct entitlement. So our office is a primary responsibility to provide guidance to the site security managers and VOs at your ID card facilities. We review the policies and record discrepancies and resolutions. We also are a liaison between AFRIC, NGB, and DMDC. Our office reviews and determines the sufficiencies of the documentation that you send in through MyPERS. And we also assist and advise AFRIC on our processes. They'll send us links and they'll tell us that, hey, this person is having issues. So we'll review for discrepancies, and then we'll give them the clarification on why we see that there's a discrepancies. Our office grants SSM access. We do not grant VO access. That is the SSM's responsibility. And right now, I know everybody's having issues with their CACs and receiving them, so we are doing emergency consumables. We've been doing a lot of those on a daily basis. Our office terminates erroneous records that are built in DEERS by the SSM or VOs. And then our office deals with all former spouse determinations for ARC only. This is Guard and Reserve. Our responsibilities, your responsibilities, and headquarters responsibilities. So as an SSM and a VO, you're able to update dependents, joint spouse marriage, rank, their ETS, and you'll grant the VO access. Our office deals with all data discrepancies from orders not being published in the system, ARC gains. We'll remove a dependent that doesn't belong, that was erroneously updated. BMT accessions, which means the member somehow didn't get gained properly within MilPDS. And so our office will help your office grant access in DEERS, and we'll build them a record so that they'll have a CAC before they go out to BMT. And then again, SSM access. Now out at headquarters, NGB, they do not have access to DEERS. So I get a lot of requests from NGB saying, hey, there's a data discrepancies, but it's coming from NGB. So we're requesting that you guys don't send that to them unless you have a policy question or you're asking questions about funding to get a new system or a move request. What we are seeing. So you guys are our primary responsibility to help out. So you are our trained personnelist out there. So when a member calls us and they say, you know, that they're having issues with DEERS, we're really wanting to speak to you all, because if we're talking arrows and MilPDS, the member doesn't know that information. We're seeing ARC gains that are not done in a timely manner, members being gained with a one-day break, and then when we're getting the SERFs, the DAS and ADISA dates, they don't match. And unfortunately, if they do not match, that has to go back to your PSM, and they will have to work with NGB A1Q to get those dates to publish correctly, and then the game will properly assess and go out to DMDC. Arrows, it's another issue that we're seeing, that the MilPDS data and arrows does not match. So make sure that your IPR is reviewing those active duty segments for the folks that are deploying. Executive orders that are not valid. So if a member goes on a 12301D order and it's in MilPDS as an 899M, that will cause the data not to flow properly. So ensure that when the executive orders are put into arrows, the right executive order is put into the system. Also, if there is a executive order of 899M, but then you find out a month later that the member is actually supposed to be on 12332 or some other type of executive order, you cannot amend the 899M order. You will have to create a new order and then start and cancel it and create a new order. ARPC clerks are going out and changing the start dates. I understand that the M4S changes. However, we cannot allow members to have a change in their start date as it causes conflicts with their pre-alert. So what has been ordered by NGB A1XR and A1P is that you must have your ARPC clerk cancel that order, create a new order the next day. If it is not done the next day, the problem will be the member will not get the pre-alert for that break in that time. Again, our office updates, we're seeing that units are going out and updating orders in Rapids. So in accordance with DOTI 1000.13, paragraph 2, Mill PDS and arrows are the only authorized update, not let your fingers do the walking. So the SSMs are not authorized to manually update DEERS. I know this is a huge change from before, and everybody's been doing it, but I'm trying to get everybody to follow what the DOTI is because of the fact that last year we had 150,000 members in the Guard and Reserve that were affected by an express script discrepancy, and we found out it was from the area of 2010 to 2016 where members were receiving a debt, and then we found out through DMDC that it was because orders were being manually updated in DEERS. Also, I've heard that people are going in and creating their own SBD codes. So I gave you the AFI, which is 363021, paragraph 1.20, which states that a Guard and Reserve member has to let that data flow from arrows so that the correct pre and post TRICARE is valid in the system. Did you know that a Title V employee is not the same as a GS employee? So each unit has, or state headquarters has, a trusted agent. That trusted agent must go into TAS and create in the trusted agent sponsorship program their profile. That profile will automatically flow into DEERS. It's almost instantaneously. Unlike a GS or a WG, those must flow through DC PDS. Active duty to ARC. If those members are gained in a timely manner, and of course AFI 363205, paragraph 2.4, ARC gaining MPF must gain a member the day after the member's DOS. If the member is gained after the 30th of the month, this creates an issue within Rapids where the member will show an IRR record versus being in the selected reserve. So you guys are supposed to be gaining the member by the day after their DOS or within the 10 days, which will not cause any conflicts. After that, allow the 10 business days for the data to flow to DMDC, and the member should have a TA 180 reserve segment that populates in DEERS. We're also seeing issues with A&G separations. Members are not out processing. And so when they're not out processing, you guys are not collecting their CACs, and with that, it's not updating DEERS properly. So as soon as you know that you're going to separate a member, an A&G separation is in the system, please go out and terminate their CAC and put the DOS in DEERS, because what's happening is the members are coming back to us stating that once ARPC updates Mill PDS, the TRICARE is coming back and recouping. That's because the separation date was done after they actually separated, and then the member is going to get a recoupment from TRICARE Reserve Select. Also, in accordance with quality life change with TRICARE, this is a 90-day window. So birth of a child, marriage, and divorce. If those are not updated in DEERS in a timely manner, TRICARE will not allow them to go back and put the member or the child or the marriage back into DEERS. This was effective as of January 2019. There is no exceptions. So the member would have to wait until open season, which is 12 November through 10 December. Sorry, I missed that date of each year. And by that, then the member could enroll their children or their new spouse, but there's no backdating. Joint spouse marriage is a big thing that's going on right now where families are going into the ID card facilities and you guys can't see history. There's a tutorial out on BIOS on adding joint spouse marriages into DEERS. If you are having a problem, contact DMDC. Our office, unfortunately, is not authorized to make those updates because the member and the dependent are not in our presence. NDAA of 2018. The biggest piece on this is involuntary. So if a member is going on a TSP, their orders must be under an involuntary status. So the executive order would be either 834A or 837 alpha in support or authority of 12304B. If the member goes in a voluntary status under 12301D, the member will not be entitled to pre and post TRICARE. So it's very important that the members know, the members know before they go on their orders what status they're going to be going in. Retirements. So there's numerous types of retirements. I go over this piece because it's stuff that is getting added into DEERS and sometimes it's added incorrectly. So if you have a member who is retiring as a reserve retiree, you'll see their orders as an EK order. AGR orders are AA orders, and reduced retired pay applications, they're entitled to pay but no medical. So there's a drop down within Rapids that you should select if they are an RRPA or if they're age 60 or if they're a ResRet. So make sure that you're using the right drop downs. Former members. So we have a lot of these members coming back now. A lot of them aren't right now in this current time frame, but maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. These former members they did not retire. They discharged from the military with 20 years of SAT service. So they'll never be entitled to a blue ID card, nor will they be eligible for TRICARE retired dental. Brief your members before they get out and remind them to apply for retirement. If not, they become a former member. Honorary retirees. So these honorary retirees got out way back in the 90s, and they only served a minimum of 8 years. They were 37 years old or more, and they did not qualify for a retirement. Their orders state that they did not qualify for retirement. They were a reserve member. But in 1991, the NDAA changed the rules because us as ARC members were entitled to go to the commissary and BX. So this benefit went away for them. There's a lot of folks out there that still have the red ID card, and they should be confiscated, and they're not entitled to another ID card. And their records in DEERS will show that they're redded out. So if you have any questions about a member who comes to your unit asking questions, please feel free to get a hold of us and we can discuss. We have a listing of over 80,000 honorary retirees that we took away benefits. All right, so myself and my team have come up with this dynamic form. It's for the FSSs and the members. You'll see at the end of it, it'll say 442 or 441. This is how you can contact us and send in anything that you have a discrepancy on. By using this link, it comes straight to our office and can be worked within 48 hours. If you're using the Ask a Question, that goes over to workflow and it can take a longer period of time. So if you're using this link, it also tells you what you need to actually submit to our offices. So if you have a member that has a discrepancy with pre and post, it'll tell you need to add their orders, the LIMOB, or any of that. If you have an ARC gain issue, it tells you to put in the DD form 214, their SURF, and all that kind of stuff. And then it also gives the opportunity for the member to apply as well. So they can go out to there, and it tells them exactly what they need to submit as well. So lastly, this will go over, these are our AFIs, our DOTIs, that we reference quite often. MillConnect, this is for the member. If they feel like they have an entitlement, they can also go out to MillConnect and they can verify that they are showing on active duty without them coming over to the FSS or sending an incident into us. This is the new link for ID Card Online. TRICARE.mil has a lot of helpful information. If you have a person who is retiring and they want to know what type of retirement that they're entitled to, they can go out to this link and it has drop downs on how to use that. Also, as a huge foot stomp and a reminder, there's always links out on MyPERS that talk about TRICARE IPRs and your MillPDS updates. It also have a guide out there for the DEERS project office as well.
And we'll start with our first question from Staff Sergeant Vandegrift. She asked, can new non-contingency orders be updated in DEERS prior to the current orders ending?
No, ma'am. That's in accordance with the DOTI. all orders need to flow through arrows. So once the contingency order is complete, the new set of orders should be updated within 3 business days. As long as they're back to back and there is no break in between the orders, that data should flow within 3 business days.
Thank you. I hope that answers your question, Sergeant Vandergrift.
And one more thing on that. I'm sorry, one more thing on that. And if those contingency orders are first and then a new non-contingency order comes after that, once the end of the non-contingency order is there, either school or MPA days or man days, then the TAMP will come on after that. It's kind of like a hold process for that TAMP eligibility.
Thank you for that. And moving on to a question from Senior Master Sergeant Metzger from right here in Colorado. May we update?
I know her right well.
May we update ETS dates manually in Rapids is what she'd like to know.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that was pretty easy. I am going to see. Okay, I do have a new question here coming in from Tech Sergeant Durkins. Can VOs manually update ETSs if they do not flow from MIL-PDS without data collision?
Yes, ma'am, you can. As long as you have the data source, your DD Form 4 or the, the Air Force Form 1411, which is your data, you can automatically make that update. Just make sure you put the source document inside of documentations in Rapids as well.
Excellent. We've got now a question from Master Sergeant Scott. And that question is, when we talk about discrepancies with the flow from arrows to MIL-PDS to DEERS, how does duty status affect it? If we make corrections in MIL-PDS under duty status options, will that feed DEERS to update?
Duty statuses? Can you come online so I can hear what you're trying to say?
Hi, good afternoon. This is Sergeant Scott from the 105th.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi. My question is, we have, when we look at duty status in MIL-PDS, I understand how the effective order flow goes from arrows to MIL-PDS to feed DEERS, especially during contingencies. But once a modification is done to an order, that will not flow to MIL-PDS or DEERS. So when we update duty status in MIL-PDS, does that have any effect on DEERS to correct a member's record, especially with contingency for entitlement purposes, or is that completely separate?
Well, if there's a modification to an order, that data should flow to MIL-PDS to update limbo. And then that data will flow to our data liaison. But the duty status itself, I'm not sure that piece because we don't deal with duty statuses.
Okay, because I know I had to go in
for contingencies.
Gotcha, because I've had to go in to correct certain duty statuses after modifications were done to orders. I just didn't know if there was a correlation in between. So duty status, I can assume, is something completely separate. Thank you for that, answering my question.
No worries.
All right. Hot off of chat here, we've got a question from Tech Sergeant Norman. Does the data flow for this apply for AGRs as well concerning their end dates? Will it only take 3 business days for the new end date to flow?
Yes, ma'am. So an end date, when those are updated, those actually will flow faster because that's an automatic feed. It's not something that has to go through MIL-PDS. It's an automatic feed that our data liaisons get, just like our counter drug orders. So those will be updated. Once you guys make the update, it'll flow automatically to DEERS. Now, if let's say a person gets a new set of orders, then that's a different situation. So we have to end the first order, and DMDC will not allow us by law to send a new set of orders until the other order ends. So let's say the order ends on a Saturday. We can't send data to DMDC until Monday. So there might be a gap in the coverage, but it's always retroactive.
All right, hopefully that answered that for you, Tech Sergeant Norman. Coming in from Senior Airman Reyes, can we update orders other than contingency?
Absolutely not. That goes back to the DODI 1000.13. That data must flow. All orders should not be manually updated. That's why there's a data flow. Make sure that if there's an issue with the data flowing, then that's when you'll submit an incident. But going in there, that causes that issue, like I said, about the express scripts, where if the data, so how I try to explain it to people is when you go to a bank, when you go to dinner, your bill is $45, but you go and put a tip. If you look at your bank account the very next morning, that tip is not there. So it's an authorization that eventually will fall off. So if you go in and let your fingers do the walking, then that data never actually gets as a verified feed to DMDC. And then the member is erroneously given TRICARE for 3 to 4 business days, and then the data is not there any longer. So please do not be going out to DEERS and making those manual updates.
Thank you for that. Sergeant Matthews, it looks like you raised your hand. Do you have a question that you would like to ask? Okay, well, we will move on to Senior Master Sergeant Figueroa. Totally unrelated to DEERS, but wondering if ARPC has a SME orders clerk and can provide training on AROS and M4S.
No, ma'am. I would suggest contacting NGB A1XR. We have 2 amazing folks out there. You've got your Senior Master Sergeant Sharp. She deals with all of AROS and M4S and MilPDS. So I would have your IPR contact her, and I'm sure there is a training out there as well, with her.
Thank you for that. It looks like we've got a question from, apologize, I can't see any rank at the moment, but Madison Chatteron. Are you on the line? Madison, you typed that you have a question. You can either type it in the chat or you can ask it yourself by unmuting yourself.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you would be able to answer this, but this is related to CAC question. So if we I'm an SSM and we are extremely low on CAC cards, and we have tried to contact
I got
ARPC.
your request.
Okay.
I already got your request, and your request was already sent to DMDC. So just so you all know, there was a contract change at DMDC, and due to the contract with the other warehouse, unfortunately, everybody's ILP is off. So in the next weeks, you're going to get an email from myself for all A&G SSMs. I'm waiting for a listing for all of your guys' information. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it out to you all. I need a copy, or I need your ILP numbers and what you actually have on hand, so that we can get a better update. This will be done by DMDC, so I'll be sending the emails directly to them, and then they will go out and manually update everybody's ILP, because I know everybody's off. But as stated before, if you have an emergency consumable, you can go out to VIOS, print out under the forms, download the form, and send in the request to that link that I sent to you, or that is on the chat. Send that in to us, and then from there, my office will go in and we will send those requests directly to DMDC. They have about a 48-hour turnaround where their emergency FedExing those requests out to you all.